Hey everyone, I'm Peter Grant, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to share a few thoughts on this, the Epiphone Dot. The Epiphone Dot is based off the Gibson ES335 and is probably one of the most popular Epiphone models, especially after the Les Paul. I've always been fascinated by ES style guitars like the 335, 4555 and the Trini Lopez models. For me, there just seems to be some certain undeniable vibe and class that these guitars just seem to have. They're just a great instant classic design for a guitar. Now, since I probably won't ever be able to afford a real ES335, I decided to get an Epiphone Dot and see how that would go. I've had this guitar for maybe around 3 or 4 years and I thought I'd share some thoughts on it. Now, I don't think the Epiphones are bad guitars. The Dot is the third one that I've had after running a Les Paul and the Firebird 7, which is like the cool guitar. They have their problems that any lower end instrument tends to have, but this mostly involves giving it a good setup. I do think the Epiphones are a great choice if you're relatively new to guitar and want something that's a step up from the most basic starter guitars that are out there, and you maybe don't want to spend a ridiculous amount for an instrument that, meets the basic requirements for a usable guitar. Or maybe you're just like me, you want a guitar you can't afford or really even justify, so you just go out and buy a cheaper variant. Anyway, let's get on to the details of the guitar that I have. According to the Guitar Data Project website, this was made in August of 2015 and came from China. The Dot is constructed with laminated maple for the hollow body parts, which is then attached to a mahogany centre block, to which then all other hardware is also attached to. The neck is also made from mahogany, but with a rosewood fingerboard. It has 2 humbucker pickups, a freeway switch, 2 volume and 2 tone controls, the standard electronics for a Gibson style guitar. There's nothing fancy with the pickups. They can sound kind of muddy to me at times. I can understand why most people would want to change these out for something more decent. But in order to do so, you have to rewire everything through the F-holes, and the benefits of grading the wiring and the pickups just never seem worth the hassle to me to do it this way. I sometimes get the impression that people upgrade pickups because they can, rather than it's an actual need for the guitar. And I'm kind of guilty of that at the same time. One of the things I love to do with a typical Gibson style electronic setup is to flip the switch into the neck position and then set the tone control all the way down to 0. It becomes really dark and really fuzzy if you have the right amp. It's that sort of classic cream sound, and that's just one of my favourite tones of all time. The neck shape would probably be described as being a D shape, but to me it feels pretty flat on the back. It's kind of a strange shape to me. The neck profiles are listed in the specifications that they are based off traditional neck measurements, but to me they somehow feel off. But this isn't really anything to be any kind of concern. At the end of the day, it's still a pretty playable neck. If I were to mention another thing about the construction of Epiphones, and this can include any other manufacturer at this kind of price point, is the finishes. They tend to be really thick. And again, on the Dot, the neck is where I find this to be most evident. At the end of the day, an unusual feel to the neck or a thick finish is nothing to really worry about. The guitar is still pretty playable. But the one thing that keeps me from wanting to play this guitar is the nut. I've come to realise that the nut is usually the issue that I have with any type of guitar. It's where I tend to find a lot of the tuning issues in guitars, especially lower end ones are. It's really high, and in this Dot's case, it tends to cause notes to go sharp when you play them, especially higher up, like in the first couple of frets. And again, this just goes back to guitars in this kind of price range just needing a really good setup. All that this nut needs in this case is to be taken out, sanded down just a little bit, and then slotted back in it, and then that should be fine and very playable at that point. I do find that there's something fun about playing a big hollow-bodied guitar. You can feel it vibrate more as you play, which I find kind of interesting and fun, and the tone has a very acoustic, airy quality to it, which is different from a solid body guitar. Well, anyway, that's it for this video. Please like, subscribe, comment and share if you liked it, and thanks for watching.